Okay, sorry. So, where was I? I was into a lot of stuff like Ravenloft, Al-Qadim, Spelljammer. I love Spelljammer, but a lot of that stuff I couldn't get my friends to play because they just liked. It was kind of weird, I guess, for them. It's not that they wouldn't have played it, but because they'd play anything. But I know they had things that they preferred to play and the things that they loved, and we kind of stuck to that. Mostly Forgotten Realms stuff. We didn't do a whole lot of home brewing back in the day. We weren't too interested in making our own stuff because, there was such in second edition, there was such a wealth of settings and options and stories, and the back in the TSR days, when they made the box sets for second edition, you didn't need to homebrew anything because excuse me, there were so many options for so many things that you could do whatever you wanted. There was a setting for everything pretty much. But we owned everything for second edition, from Greyhawk to Ravenloft to, like I said, Al-Qadim and Spelljammer. We had all that stuff. So we played D&D 99% of the time. That's what we played. We branched off once in a while, played other things, but most of it wasn't more than like maybe a one-off or a one-shot. I did a lot of buying. I still do a lot of role-playing game buying and reading, but I may own like 100 different settings or systems, but might never play them. But it's one of those things where even if you didn't play them, they were still fun to read. So I still had a ton of books, and still have a ton of books. We did delve into Vampire the Masquerade, second edition. We played that off and on for a little while, and we didn't really follow much of the main meta plot of that. We did basically just one-offs with our characters set in the city we lived in. We live in Columbus, Ohio. So it was just weird things like our guys would go out and cause trouble with other gangs and get into gang fights, and they would. I think at one point they had taken over I was running the games, but they had at one point had gotten the contacts and met people and were starting to take over businesses and shake them down and sort of build up their own startup criminal enterprise kind of gang empire mafia type thing, which we've talked about for a long time, wanting to revisit that style of game and redo that. And I do have the 5th edition Vampire book, and from what little I've read of it, it seems really awesome, and I would love to play it. But that's kind of where the origins for us, me anyway, playing role-playing games started, was basic D&D, the revised black box. Not was it Master Set? I think the original black box was. I could be wrong. Master or Immortals, I'm not sure. But anyway, moved on to the Rules Cyclopedia, which is, I'm not a fan of Racist Class. I would play it, but I'm not a fan of it. And I'm also not a fan of percentile thief skills. Separating thief skills out makes it tough for other classes to do things like hide and sneak and things like that, where it's using a different subset of dice, a different system. It's weird. Anyway, that's a different story, I guess, for a different time. But so yeah, it branched off. We played a little bit of what was the superhero game we played when we were younger? Heroes, maybe, I think it was called. Pretty crunchy, a little complicated. I still have a lot of my old games, like I've got Leading Edge, Aliens, and then back in early high school when I picked that up, I am no math wizard. And Leading Edge games looking back, and I've still pull that Aliens game out from time to time and read through it and glance through it and browse and stuff. As complicated as a system as I think that is, because it looks very complicated on paper, and I've heard that it's complicated and very crunchy and doesn't play very well or very smooth, I would still love to play that game. I would love to play Aliens by Leading Edge. I know Free League Press is releasing a new Alien game, which I have already pre-ordered, so my group is excited to play that, which I'm excited for because it's not fantasy. And we all love the Alien universe. I'm excited for that. But I still would love to give Leading Edge Aliens a try. I never did pick up the Lawnmower Man book from that series, but I do have Dracula from Leading Edge Games, which, wow, was the Phoenix Command System, I think it was, from Living Steel or something like that. I've never played those games, but that seems, as crunchy as it is, seems more appropriate for horror and military style game like Aliens than it does for Dracula. That seems like an absurdly crunchy type of game for a horror fantasy setting like Dracula. But I would love to play that too. It's fantastic. Based on the movie Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman. Great source book, though. Both of those books, regardless of if you ever play them as a system, fantastic source books. Really, really cool. But so that's kind of where things evolved and started for us. And then right around the time 3rd edition D&D hit, we were later in high school, and it just, me and Jeremy started going to different high schools. I went to the same middle school, but we started going to different we went to different high schools. So that sort of broke the group up a little bit. We played 2nd edition a lot back in the day, even through high school. But once towards the end of high school and just out of high school was when 3rd edition got kind of big. And I bought the books. I don't think I ever played a single session of 3.0. I would have, given the opportunity, but I did not. And we, at 17, 18, 19 years old, there were other things that interest us besides D&D, which we still love, don't get me wrong. But the girls, we both started getting real big into girls, and that was the thing. And driving and hanging out with friends, went to a lot of concerts, and we just didn't see much of each other as a group anymore, and we kind of drifted apart. But then as we got older, we always stayed somewhat in the scene of role-playing games. Even if we didn't play, we kept up on the news and what games were coming out and things like that, even if we didn't play. And then a few years back, I got a new job, and I met some people who had never played before, but I still was really passionate about the hobby and the system, or not system, but the hobby and gaming in general. And I really wanted to get back into playing D&D. I had collected all the EverQuest D20 books, and I really wanted to play EverQuest because my friend Jeremy and I were huge into EverQuest back in the day. Since the original one, pre-Lucelyn and Kunark and all that stuff, we were like OG EverQuest, man. So anyway, I had collected all the D20 EverQuest stuff, which was basically D&D 3.5, which not complicated, just crunchy. And as we got older, I wanted things that were just a little smoother, a little faster, not as much math. And we never played that either. I played a little bit of it with an ex-girlfriend of mine. She had a player's handbook, and we played a little bit. Very, 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 very little. Enough basically to say we're trying the system out. But, so we got into EverQuest D20 a little bit. I got my new job, and met some guys, and a non-mutual friend, one of my friends, one of his friends, had played back in the day and said I would love to get back into playing. So we got back into, and he decided to start GMing Pathfinder, Mathfinder, as I call it. A lot of people call it. And I enjoyed playing the game with my friends. I enjoyed the storytelling, what little of that there was in that game, because it was mostly crunch and things like that. But after a while, I got burnt out on it because it was just, it was all about power creep and skill points, and every time you leveled, you'd have to get a new feat and new special abilities, and it was basically like superheroes in a fantasy world. And it was more focused on gaining powers and gaining abilities and things like that than it was storytelling. Now, I know a lot of that probably is also how your group plays, but the system is designed around that, so that's kind of where it tended to drift and head towards. So that's what it was. Not to mention, I had terrible luck in that game. I was rolling ones multiple times a night. I had characters dying because I just kept fumbling and botching and rolling ones, and I just had really bad, even when I switched dice, really bad luck in that game. So eventually I took a break from it, from the group. I took a step back, and in the meantime, they kind of finished up the campaign they were playing, and we decided, and around that time, 5th edition had come out, D&D, and we decided to give that a shot, and we all liked how much more streamlined 5th edition was. We still play 5th edition, and I do like that system of 5th edition. I like how streamlined it's become. However, for me, it also is still very much superheroes in Faerun. You know what I mean? It's very much superheroes in D&D, and that's just not, at my age, what I'm looking for. I want to do more story-based things, less feats and powers and abilities, class abilities. You know, I'm looking at OSR stuff now. A lot of people have turned me on to a lot of OSR stuff. Jason from Dark Age of Roleplay, Ivan Mike, Eric Bloat has a lot of cool OSR stuff that's in different genres, which I love. He's got The Blackest of Deaths coming out, which I cannot wait to play that, because if I can get my group to play it, that's super OSR and lethal, and there's no skills, and there's only a few class abilities, and it's very much focused on playing or running through a story rather than leveling up and gaining new abilities and stuff. So I love that. But I'm leaning more towards OSR stuff as I get older, or simpler things. I just got Symbaroum, and that seems like for a modern game, the system is very OSR in its sensibilities. There's no skills. It's a simple roll under your stat system, but you get other talents and abilities, but not bloated out like D&D is. I'm not opposed to crunchy things, but I don't want to do superheroes in D&D anymore. Not really. I wouldn't mind coming back to play 5th edition, but after we're done with our current campaign, I want to take a break from that and do something else. I'm really interested in the Forbidden Lands and the new Alien game coming out, Symbaroum, Blackest of Deaths I'm really interested in. There's a couple of games by John M. Stater that have come out that I would like to play, like Black Death and Tales of the Space Princess, Barbarians and Basilisks. A lot of really simple OSR style games. White Box Fantastic Medieval Adventures. I would love to play that, because that to me is like a stripped down version of the Rules Cyclopedia that separates race and class and doesn't have percentile thief skills. So that kind of has almost everything I want. It doesn't have skill bloat. It's got ascending AC. It's got base attack bonus. So it's a lot of modern D&D mechanics we're familiar with a lot of the extra mechanical bloat cut out of it, that focuses on gameplay and storytelling and just having fun rather than leveling up and getting new powers. So anyway, I'm at work. I need to go inside. Hopefully this video turned out well, and maybe I'll upload it to YouTube. If it doesn't, you'll never see it, so that's alright. Anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and take care, and I will upload another video later. See ya.